Hello, everyone, and welcome to the virtual Daytona International Speedway. It's Mark Murphy. I'm joined by World Karting Association competitor Andrew Wood, and we're here for the Sim Gaming Expo Round 2, the Challenge Series that's going to see 30 of the best in the business go live on the stage in Schaumburg, Illinois on September 5th through 7th to win some pretty cool stuff. Welcome, Andrew.
Yeah, good to be here with you today, Mark. It's actually very unique for me as I'm more of an open wheel whiz. We're going to be watching some GT3 cars today, which is always very exciting and a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I've raced these cars before in the 24 hours of anything on iRacing. So it's definitely pretty cool to watch a different set of race cars and different strategies and how these guys are going to navigate this track today.
You know, most certainly so. We were talking earlier just about the conditions, the setups that these drivers are going to face. Right now, we are looking at pretty much perfect. 71 degrees on the track and in the air, 84% humidity, very little wind. It's out of the south, and it is nighttime. And Andrew, that is when business picks up in the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona, and that's exactly the conditions we're going to have here. It almost reminds you of a race that they used to have in Daytona, the Paul Revere 200, the Midnight Ride that took place right before the Firecracker 400 back in the day. That race was entirely held at night.
That's definitely a very interesting scene. As you can see here, the sun is setting, clouds are sort of rolling in a little bit, and temperatures will begin to drop if they haven't dropped already. And these cars are going to be operating at full RPMs, full speeds, and I think the draft is really going to mean something here tonight, kind of what we were discussing earlier as well.
Absolutely. The setups for this race, all of these drivers are in identically prepared Porsche 911 GT3Rs, the 992 cars. This is the newest iteration of the Porsche GT3 in the series. Identically prepared vehicles, identical setups from Makoni Setup Shop, and we're thinking that these drivers can go, what, 35 minutes on fuel-ish, Andrew?
That's about what we think, and that's exactly the race distance. So we're unsure if these cars are going to have to take an actual pit stop. We'll have to keep monitoring the strategy and everything, if they can push it for the full 35 minutes or not. Typically, these cars can do that on a full tank, but if these guys have to make a pit stop, that's going to add another layer of excitement to this.
You know, it most certainly will, Andrew. And the other thing that I was kind of looking at, too, the weather is static for this one. So the track starts at 50%, no marbles. The weather's static. We don't have to worry about rain. We don't have to worry about the sky changing. It is going to remain exactly like this for the entire event. Right now, fastest in practice, Matt Karuna, he's got a lap at 1:44.223. He also boasts a 9,478 iRating. There are some big names from across that GT3 sports car portion of iRacing that are taking part in this, and that's a big one. 9,400 iRating. Jordan Johnson, he is second right now on the board. 8,200 iRating. Those are numbers that we can only dream of, Andrew. And then you get down toward the bottom end of this field, Ron Matthews, 1202. And so there is a large disparity in iRating in this field as well.
You know, that kind of is what makes something like the Sim Gaming Expo so unique here, is that anyone can compete. It's not exclusive to drivers that really know what they're doing around these race cars. Anyone can qualify and anything can happen on race day, and I think that goes for any series that you're a part of. So hopefully we have a couple upsets here today, because that would make things very exciting for the drivers that advance to the next round.
Absolutely. So we are just about 40 seconds away from qualifying, and we're going to go ahead and get the scoring tree up so that our fans can see who is the fastest in practice with about 30 seconds left. It is the aforementioned Matt Karuna, Jordan Johnson, Corbin Linaway, and Michael Billen are the top four. Alex Chilcutt is fifth. Ryan Fuqua sixth. Helder Goncalves is seventh. James O'Brien in eighth. Alex Caruso ninth. And DeMarcus Rogers will round out the top 10 just on practice speeds. And so we're just about ready to join qualifying. And Andrew, Let's take a ride. Who would you like to ride with as we get ready to get down to business and qualifying here in Daytona for this event?
Well, I would say let's go with the first car that goes out there because it's going to be very, very interesting track conditions for the first car that's out there. So let's see if we have, as we switch over here, who our first car is going to be out on track.
Let's have a look. It's going to be Helder Goncalves, and we are going to jump right on the roll bar with Helder.
A little bit of a sketchy pit out here at Daytona. It's very, very easy to just kind of overshoot that long left-hand turn and take the wall down there, but you don't want to do that on your out lap. So Helder is kind of setting up for his first of 4 laps here. I imagine the drivers are going to have their best lap on either the second or the third lap, probably the third lap in these cars. So there's a chance that we see these guys do a lap and then maybe tow and restart it if they don't really like how their second lap is going and really go for a run at the end there. So let's see what the strategy is that Helder deploys here.
Indeed. Helder Goncalves, of course, the Tractix Racing team member on the course. He was at 9th quick in practice, and so this is a car that is hoping to make that top 10. One of the things you got to be careful in these endurance cars, Andrew, are the tires. They can be very, very, very difficult and temperamental when you don't have them up to temperature. And you can see Helder weaving back and forth across the track surface as he approaches the bus stop, the Le Mans chicane on the backstretch here at Daytona, trying to get some heat.
Yeah, the tires are very temperamental in several of the different cars you find on the surface here, and this is no different. So I'm not surprised that there's a little bit of weaving on, trying to get the tires all set. Driving these cars in the past, you usually can tell on the dashboard once the tires are at the optimal temperature. As you see, Helder's going high, right close to the wall there, trying to get the maximum amount of speed to start his hot lap.
Yes, he is. Here he comes now. He's going to swing down toward the bottom, cross the start-finish line. Helder Goncalves becomes the first driver on the clock. Hard on the brakes down to turn 1, Andrew. You want to swing wide and then cut right down to the inside as you get to turn 1 through the chicane and set yourself up for the first of the 2 horseshoes.
I was actually seeing several cars get a little bit rear end happy entering that first corner there during the practice session. So Helder has managed to navigate through that very much safely, and now he heads to the international horseshoe. This is the international horseshoe with the kink there.
Yeah, there's the kink, and he's going to come on through the west horseshoe. So there's 2 horseshoes. The Rodriguez International horseshoe is the first one. The second one is the west horseshoe. You've got the dog leg between them. This corner right here, turn 6, is my personal mountain to climb. I always seem to lose it on exit. Very slick as you get out into NASCAR 1 and 2.
Tires are very, very warm there, especially after the high loads that it takes through the horseshoe section and then the heavy braking going into the left-hander. And it's a very deceiving corner as well, as you see the wall sitting ahead of you first, and then you're just trying to get the car as straight as you possibly can for maximum acceleration.
Yeah, that's a huge trouble spot in the Rolex, is right there at turn number 6. Through the Le Mans chicane, you see Helder use up every inch of the road right there, going through the Le Mans chicane. You want to make sure that you straighten that thing up as much as you can, because it is a long run through NASCAR 3 and 4 down toward the front stretch and the start-finish line.
This is a very tidy lap from Helder, I must say. For being the first car out, all eyes are on him right now on this broadcast, and he manages to put together quite a nice lap. Let's see what the time is.
1 minute 43.806, and that's going to jump him to second on the board. We'll get outside the car and watch. He's going to go for another, Andrew.
Yeah, looks like he's going to take lap 2 here, and this is the part where it might get interesting. If he sees that his deltas in the car are maybe not as good as he wants them to be, he's going to try and either improve it, or he might just pull over and say, hey, let's do it again. Fresh tires. The freshest tires are always the best, and I'll be interested to see if he completes his lap, because that would mean that he's doing a little bit better than his previous one.
Most certainly so. There's Helder Goncalves as he runs down through the first of the 2 horseshoes. That's the Rodriguez International horseshoe, the West horseshoe, through turn 6. He takes a little bit wider of a line than I'm used to seeing here. Of course, I've run the 24 hours of Daytona in the sim. Andrew, you have experience in these GT3 cars. I do not. I've only done it in a prototype. So the lines are a little bit different through there in those cars.
Actually, I was just going to comment that on the approach to turn 6 there, it looked like he got a little farther to the right than he wanted. I'm not sure if that was done by design to try and find a little bit more time, as if you see he's going to complete this lap here. So I think he was probably just trying to dig and find a few more tenths here and there to maybe jump up to take that second spot back in the qualifying session here.
100%. Helder Goncalves works it through NASCAR 3 and 4. He's going to come down the front straightaway. The first man out, his first lap went third quick. The second lap, 1 minute 43.510. That is quicker, but it doesn't jump him up any. Also, I believe he might have had an off track because it did not register. And that's something you got to be very careful of, especially in the Le Mans chicane. You got to be really careful with the off tracks, Andrew.
I'm actually seeing that it did register there, Mark. It has him sitting in P6 right now. It's just that other cars are going faster. So he retook second for literally a blink of an eye. And then when you open your eyes again, he had dropped 2 spots. So other drivers are going faster. Let's see if Matt Caruna is doing a lap here, and we can see if there's any sort of differences that are in his racing line compared to Helder.
There we go. We'll jump to Matt Caruna. There he is. He's going through turn number 6. He's going to head for turn number 7. A little bit higher on exit turn 6. He's going to pull it right down to the yellow line through NASCAR 1 and 2, and he'll head off toward the Le Mans chicane on his qualifying effort. He is on lap number 3. The provisional pole sitter working toward the end of lap number 3.
Yeah, you were mentioning the wider line there. I think that was simply for the acceleration factor, as I was mentioning during Helder's second lap there, that you want to try what you take a little bit more than getting through the corner safely is just turn the corner and then get on the acceleration so your speed starts to pick up for that long straightaway there. So I think the reason why he got a little wide, maybe he didn't get the turn in exactly as how he wanted it to be, but he got the acceleration he needed, and that might be what it takes to get him higher up on the field.
There he is. Matt Caruna is going to cross the line, and he comes under that lap quicker again, minute 42 at 9:89. He's averaging 123 miles an hour around this track. That's pretty quick in a GT3, Andrew.
Yeah, that's the first car that we see in the 142s in this session here. So Matt's feeling pretty good right now. Again, you only need to be in the top 10 to move on to the next round, but I'm sure that Matt is looking for a win here today if he could somehow pull it off. And right now, it looks like that car has the pace to do it.
100%. Jordan Johnson currently second. Alex Chilcutt third. Corbin Linaway fourth. Michael Billen is going to round out the top 5 provisionally. We still have a couple of minutes left in the session. All 25 cars have taken time, and so we will have a full field. Remember, the top 10 are going to advance.
Another interesting fact here I see about Matt Caruna is that he is the sole UK driver in this particular field here. So he's representing the UK, and hopefully some of his UK friends are watching as well and cheering him on, saying, yeah, you got this. You got the pole position. Let's see if you can really go for it in the race.
You know, that's true, and the thing about this series is you must be present to race in the finals, and so the field is overwhelmingly American. Dorian Lefevre, and my apologies if we're butchering any of those names.
Lelievre.
Yeah,
like
there
the
you
Louvre.
go. Well, see, that's why I have you here, Andrew. You know the pronunciations, my friend.
I was just in Europe, so I'm very much chock full of it.
He's from France, and then the aforementioned Matt Caruna from the United Kingdom. Everybody else from the United States, Caruna goes quicker on his 4th lap. Minute 42, 8:45, 123, 7:02 is the speed, and that is just about going to end qualifying. I don't believe we've got other cars on the track. We've got let's see if we can't see Jordan Johnson now. He's done. Everybody has ceased their qualifying efforts, and I don't think we've got anybody else on the track.
I see Brian Martin is still circulating. right now. Brian Martin is currently sitting in 19th place. He's coming to the checkered flag here on his final attempt. Let's see if he improves.
There's Brian Martin in the number 54.
Looks like he does not improve on that run there with a 144.1, so he will sit in P19 to start this race. That's not terrible. He only has to make up 9 spots to move on. It looks like the qualifying time of P10 is only 0.6 faster, so it will be very competitive in the mid-pack here, I think. As you can see, from P4 down to P17 is only separated by 0.7. So this will be a very, very competitive mid-pack battle here. And I could see that last spot really going down to the wire, Mark.
I most certainly can too. It's time to get the starting grid going, Andrew. Brought to you, of course, by the Sim Gaming Expo, by the Sim Gaming Expo. The Challenge Series, split number 1, getting ready to roll. On the pole, it's going to be Matt Caruna, 142.845. Jordan Johnson is going to be to his outside. Row 2, Alex Chilcutt, Corbin Linaway. Row 3, James O'Brien, Michael Billen, is going to be starting 6th. Hedler Goncalves, we watched his qualifying effort. He will go from 7th. Alex Caruso will be 8th. Eric Hulsman is 9th. And Pierre Panagua will roll from 10th. In 11th, it's going to be Turner Scholl, William Day in 12th. We're going to have Matt Fuqua and Brent Ruiz 13th and 14th. DeMarcus Rogers and Dorian. Say it again, Andrew.
Pierre Lelèvre.
Very good. Dorian Lelèvre is 16th. Tyler Beeman and Willie Beenan are going to go 17th and 18th. Brian Martin in the 54. He'll roll 19th. Blake Rizaki will be 20th. 21st, Brandon Potts. 22nd, Dennis Trump. Greg Stoll will be 23rd. 24th, David Hall. Ron Matthews is going to go 25th. Andrew Nislin was the alternate, and he will not take part in the race. All 25 drivers showed up, so we are getting ready to rock and roll, Andrew.
Yes, I don't know why I said Pierre on that name, Mark. I apologize to poor Dorian there. Dorian Lelèvre. I hope that he gives me a little bit of credit for the pronunciation of the last name and butchering the first name.
You know, I'm going to give you a lot of credit, Andrew. You tried, right? And that's the main thing here. The Porsche 911 pace car is leading them away. Matt Caruna, Jordan Johnson, they're going to form up, and they're going to need to do this quickly because it's a very short pace lap here at Daytona.
Yes, I'll be very interested to see where exactly the cars begin to take off here, because it could go either way. You could really try and slow the group down. Everybody in the middle of the pack is going to be really, really trying to push it to go. But I think we're going to have a little bit of an early start here, if I had to guess.
You know, that's usually the key at Daytona. The pole sitter wants to get out and get through that technical infield quickly and see if they can't break the draft. Because if you don't break the draft early here, Andrew, you are going to be in for a challenge, because these cars are very difficult to get away from each other. Pace car is getting ready to pull off. Field is going to be under the control of Matt Caruna. Barney's got the green flag in hand. And we are underway in split 1 of the Sim Gaming Expo Challenge Series. Down toward turn
single file formation there going down into turn 1. Everyone kind of played very nicely, and I think that's going to be the tone that we set for this. People are saying, I'm not going to go too crazy.
It's we got one off. We've got one spinning.
I've commentators cursed it, Mark. I'm afraid. Looks like we have.
That's
Helder.
Yeah, that's Helder Goncalves that spun off there at the very beginning. We'll go back and pick up the replay because we still have the rest of this infield section to go. Through the dogleg and toward the West Horseshoe, they thunder. 24 of them. Helder Goncalves is 2.5 seconds behind here.
Looks like he had contact with Alex Caruso. It's very, very tricky to go too wide through that turn 2 and 3 area there, and there was just a little bit of left front to right rear contact that sent Helder around. We got another car out of turn 6. Your favorite corner there, Mark.
It is indeed. That's going to be Pierre Panagua, and there he is sitting sideways. We're going to go back and pick up. Pierre as he comes out of there. Just does it by himself. Andrew, powered down too early, and around she goes.
That's a Mark Murphy special right there, if I had to guess.
That most certainly is, and that'll allow Helder Goncalves to get back by, and we're going to go see what befell Helder on the start. There might have been a little. Was there contact here? Helder in the 23.
There was a little bit of contact with the left front of Caruso there.
Yeah, just two cars going for the same spot. Caruso was there. Helder Goncalves unable to unable to avoid the left front, but he is up to 23rd. Ron Matthews is 24th. Pierre Panagua 4 seconds behind this battle. We're going to jump up to the front. It's Matt Caruna that leads it from Jordan Johnson, Alex Chilcutt. One of the things that we're going to want to cover here, Andrew, is not just the battle for the lead. It's going to be the battle for the transfer spot. Right now, that's held by Turner Scholl. They are him, Ryan Fuqua, 9th and 10th. They're about 1.8 seconds behind that lead group, the front 8. And they're kind of by themselves. And that's not a bad place to be if you're trying to make it in to the finals here.
Obviously, the incident with Helder has moved Turner Scholl up into that 10th spot on the first lap, which he must be thrilled about, as it gives him an opportunity to take advantage of another driver's misfortune. But yeah, it looks like there's a little bit of a breakaway from P11 on back. So I'm sure William Day is going to hope that nobody really challenges him from behind, and he's able to make up that little bit of an advantage to maybe do something on the last lap to get by, because I'm sure that if these drivers do not need to make their pit stop, then they are going to save their tires as best they can to make that last lap move that will give them that transfer spot. That's why I made it very clear during the qualifying session that it looked very competitive on either side of that P10 transfer spot.
Yeah, right on board with William Day now. One spot out of the transfer spot. The Pun Crew driver, he qualified 70. His rank in this was 31st, and so he would be right on the cusp if you just took the first round of transferring, and that's all that's in it for him to get on the stage in Schaumburg. Right there for William Day, just about 1.3 seconds.
Ooh, I saw an incident on the front straight right there, Mark, between David Hall and Helder. Helder again has found himself in an incident that looks a little more terminal. It looks like he actually was trying to go below the yellow line there on that pass going towards turn 1.
Yeah, there's Helder Goncalves pulling up on David Hall, the number 26. We'll get in the Wayback Machine, and we'll have a look at Helder Goncalves and the incident with he and David Hall. Goncalves does have the meatball. He is going to have to respect that, Andrew. And I believe you're right. That is going to be terminal damage for the number 23. Down to the inside he goes. And around they go. Looks like David Hall is going to get away with it. Helder Goncalves is not going to be so lucky. Hard into the outside retaining wall. Great bit of evasive driving from Ron Matthews. And that is going to be that for Helder Goncalves. We're going to rejoin the action here. Looking at Corbin Linaway, he is 5th. Corbin Linaway from the United States. He was 19th on the board after the initial round of qualifying. The Impact Sim Sport driver currently sits in 5th. Alex Chilcutt just ran the fastest lap of the race, and the front 3 are right together as well, Andrew.
I'm actually still watching that bubble battle, as it were. Day and Schroll are running identical lap times, so that could be a good or a bad thing. That means that Schroll is still in that transfer spot for now, but Day needs to find a little bit more. He's not losing sight of him too much, but at the same time, he needs to find a little bit more to start eking away at that gap there. Now, Schroll has the advantage that he has a car that he could draft up behind to get that pace down. So if Schroll were to lose that, that may spell bad news for him if he can't keep the pace going all by himself like William Day can. So we'll have to watch how this unfolds, because this still remains pretty exciting for this transfer spot here. But everybody that's sitting in the top 10 right now is saying, man, if I just keep this going, I think I'm sitting pretty.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Turner Schroll wants to see, is that nice gap, about 1.3 seconds back to William Day. Day was fractionally quicker the last time through, but I tell you what, that's you're not gonna get there by gaining 2 3/100ths a lap. He's gonna have to start clawing back much quicker, because he's just about out of the range of the draft, Andrew.
Just for now. That could easily change with one little mistake over this next 30 minutes or so that we got going on in this race, Mark.
There is, but that's a huge advantage for Turner Schroll, that he's got Ryan Fuqua in front of him, and there is about a second and a half back to the machine of William Day. And Day doesn't really have anybody to break the draft in front of him. Do want to thank everybody for tuning it in. If you can see the slideshow that's right below the Sim Gaming Expo logo, the YouTube logo, the iRacing logo there in the top right hand of the corner, that's what these drivers are racing for. It's to get on the stage in Schaumburg September 5th through 7th at the Sim Gaming Expo. That's going to be a ton of fun. I'm going to be there. There's an open wheel version of this that I'm going to take part in. Andrew, we're looking forward to seeing our friends up there, of course, and maybe making some new ones.
It's always nice to see a face of people that you race against all the time, and I'm sure that some of these guys in this series have raced each other for a long time, and they may say, hey, I want to meet this guy. And especially if you've been a teammate or worked with someone, it kind of makes an automatic bond and an automatic friendship, and that's exactly what the sim racing community does for one another. So I'm sure these guys are excited at the opportunity to have a shot to do that.
You know, and you mentioned teammates. There are teammates in this race. Greg Stoll currently runs 19th. That's a team, the Pun Crew car. William Day currently sitting on the outside looking in that 11th spot. Those two are teammates. You have a couple of Hyperion Racing cars. That's Turner Schroll and Willie Brennan. And so those two are teammates. Now, the thing is here, neither set of teammates are really in a position to help each other, and that's an interesting bit of trivia. Corbin Linaway and Michael Billen, Impact Sim Sport, so they're teammates as well. Alex Caruso is part of that Hyperion squad, and so there are teammates involved here.
That's very interesting, especially when it comes to a road course racing. There isn't really much you could do to help a teammate in a road course experience unless you're working together and trying to block someone out or trying to really overtake someone or do some sort of strategy that gets you ahead. So the only thing the teammate aspect would come into effect, in my opinion, would be before the race happens. Trying to help each other out with race lines, where to get on the power, looking at telemetry together, what am I doing differently than you? And then when it's showtime, it's time to really fend for yourself and learn all the stuff that you can from your teammates to try and get that advantage. So the teammate aspect is very interesting, but in this actual competition itself, it's all individual, obviously, and there's very little opportunity for you to work with your teammate to try and get that advantage here. So I'm sure there's a little bit of team motivation going on, saying, come on, you could do it. You can squeeze out a few more tenths. You could find more consistency. Just keep your head down and do it. But, yeah, that's a very interesting aspect of this as well.
It most certainly is. Matt Caruna has the lead. Jordan Johnson second. Alex Chilcutt is third. Matt Caruna is the lone Brit, and he is waving the Union Jack very proudly up there in the front. Caruna, 19 years old, from the United Kingdom, and we look forward to seeing him. Jordan Johnson is running in second. Jordan Johnson is a member of the powerful Apex Racing team. He is a 2025 Daytona 24-hour top split LMP2 winner. How about that?
That's crazy, and that just shows that some of these events bring out the best of the best. I'm actually watching James O'Brien slipped a little bit on the front straightaway there. He lost a spot to Lenaway, and then a spot to Billen in turn one. It looks like he's got Alex Caruso. Yeah,
he's still under fire from Alex Caruso. Caruso trying to go around the outside. Not the best place to be in the Rodriguez International Horseshoe. They'll file down toward the dog leg and into the West Horseshoe but that was a big loss for James O'Brien, but still well within the transfer positions is James O'Brien. And you've kind of got one car on an island that we'd want to point out here too. Eric Halsband, he's a couple of seconds behind Caruso, and he's got about a second in hand over Ryan Fuqua. Fuqua and Schroll are catching him incrementally, about a tenth a lap. But right now, Eric Halsband is kind of in the rocking chair, Andrew. He's out for a drive for himself as we reach 1/3 distance.
He's running still the same lap times, competitive lap times, to stay in his top 10 spot. William Day actually did run a little bit faster last lap than Turner Schroll did. So he still has some time to take that down. But the interesting part of this is that Day is bringing Leleuve, Brennan, and DeMarcus Rogers and Brian Martin with him. So if that group does catch up to Turner Schroll, that's going to be a very, very interesting battle for that transfer spot. And we hope that we get something like that here as the race closes off. We're getting close to the halfway point as we speak, actually.
We are indeed. Alex Chilcutt, as you see from the box in the purple, cuts the fastest lap, minute 43 at 1:43. That's hauling it along. Looking out the back from Turner Schroll, that's the distance between the transfer spot. It's about a second and a half, 1.6 seconds. Turner Schroll that time, he was incrementally quicker than William Day for that spot. We're going to get back up front because the top three have pulled away, and they're going to have a battle between themselves. The third driver that we wanted to mention that's up there, Alex Chilcutt, he's no slouch either. The Nexus Esports driver, he's been a Sebring 12-hour winner, 6 hours of the Glen winner. That guy can wheel one of these cars as well. You don't get to win those splits by not being excellent. Even if it's not just the top split, Andrew, it takes a lot to win split 2, 5, 10, 20, whatever it is. You almost have to be perfect to win one of those things.
You know what's very interesting, Mark, that I'm watching with these top three guys, and one thing I do also want to mention as I veer off a little bit is that Karuna we thought was going to run away with this. He seemed to be the fastest car in practice, was running really, really ridiculous lines in qualifying. We thought he was going to have possibly like a 3 to 5 second gap right now, but cheers to both Jordan Johnson and Alex Chilcutt for staying with him. But what we see here is that we're not seeing much battling for this lead, and I think that might be by design because, again, everyone wants to win a race, but when it comes down to it, the main focus of this race is to make sure you're in the top 10.
It's a tournament. It's a tournament, right? Survive and advance.
So for now, we're seeing these guys play nice. These top three seem to have very, very similar pace. Hopefully it gets a little spicy later when the instinct kicks in that, hey, I'm in a race and I want to win it and I want to stamp my authority and say I'm going to win this whole entire competition. But for now, I think these guys are just staying lockstep. I can watch the behavior of these cars right now, these top three cars, and they're looking very comfortable, looking very on pace. No one's taking big risks. They know that they're just pulling away from the field, and they're probably smiles all from ear to ear right now.
Absolutely, and there's still some smiles in this second group too. Corbin Linaway, Michael Billen, Alex Caruso, James O'Brien. They are right there together. There's there's the opening trio, and then there's a second quartet, positions 4 through 7, and they're kind of on an island unto themselves. As well, Andrew.
I do see William Day is starting to very, very, very slowly chip away at that group up ahead. He's left behind Leleuve, Brian Martin, Willie Brennan. So it looks like that battle for that transfer spot may only be with one driver unless some of these guys behind pick up the pace a little bit. But I think Day is determined. He's running very, very consistently, high 143s lap after lap. He's not letting them get away. And perhaps this is a strategy to maybe keep his tires in a much better condition to be able to pounce later on if the opportunity arises. So this is very interesting right here as we have now just passed halfway.
And there we go. We'll hop on board with William Day. He is 11th. You see the telemetry on the driver. Jordan Johnson sets the fastest lap time. Those top three are trading that out. But look at William Day, right? You can see, and it's one of those that you cannot quantify it, but when you can see the cars in front of you, Andrew, what's that like? What's that feel like when you know you're catching them incrementally and you can see that gap visibly closing out your windshield?
You know, that's you asked the question. I'm going to give you both sides of it. It gives you a lot of motivation to really say, hey, I have the pace to do what I got to do. Sometimes some extra little bit kicks in and you push a little too hard and then you start making mistakes. And sometimes you can get a little bit of a tunnel vision situation where you're only focusing on where the driver ahead of you is and not really on what your actual driving situation is. So it depends on what your mindset is, and hopefully the mindset is that I'm staying with these guys. I have to keep doing what I'm doing and don't dig for a little bit more and just hope for their mistakes and that my consistency will catch up. But every once in a while you get a little bit over your head and then you start over driving the car, and that's what can lose you some time. And that's possibly what the cars behind Day have been doing. They're saying, I got to get ahead of him, and next thing you know, you've lost about 2 seconds.
Well, and you know, there's something too that I call target fixation. If the guy in front of you makes a mistake, we saw that in the AMA series on Thursday night in the NASCAR series that Sam Crow and I broadcast live here on P1. We had that exact thing happen where one of the leading cars went off. Car immediately behind them followed him off into the kitty litter. I mean, that's something that does happen in these races, Andrew. You get target fixation. You're focused on the guy in front of you. Next thing you know, he goes off and you're off too.
I've fallen into that trap many times, Mark, and I think you and I can both commiserate on that. But I've driven my best races where I'm looking at my apexes, I'm looking at my brake points, I'm looking at everything that brings me forward and not what means I'm faster than the car ahead of me.
There you go. And William Day is kind of in that spot. He can see the people in front of him, but they are drawing away a little bit now, Andrew. 1.7 seconds is the gap. Don't sleep on other people in the field. Do want to point out there's Brian Martin, and he's running 12th. He has trouble in the form of Dorian Lelieve.
You did it. That was perfect.
Lelieve.
Don't even try and correct yourself.
Dorian Lelieve is all over the back of Brian Martin. Brian Martin, of course, is a Wanted Goons racer. You can follow him at B-Roy on Twitch. And he claims to have caused the most massive crash in iRacing Creator Series history here at Daytona. So check that out if you'd like. I don't know. There's kind of I don't know. Can he match me at Indianapolis, Andrew?
Oh, I knew that was going to come up at some point today. I didn't think it would be this early, but here we are. Yeah, that was some air that you got. So if that was submitted, then I think that still holds the record, if you ask me.
So for those of you who don't know, Andrew and I, of course, good friends, but Andrew gets a text from me every during or around every race that I run, Andrew. And where is my car usually in those photographs?
In mid takeoff, or at the point where you hit the apex at the top of the takeoff.
Not quite as high as Indianapolis. I did do a barrel roll for you at Pocono. That was fun. But we're looking at Brian Martin, Tyler. Looking at Brian Martin, Tyler Beeman, the Mad Sim Racing driver. That's the host of the Into the Apex podcast right there, running along in the number 14th. Number 14 in the 15th spot. And then tail end Charlie on that battle. You've got Brent Ruiz. There you see Brent. He is running along with DeMarcus Rogers. DeMarcus Rogers out of 499 Racing. So they are 15th and 16th. Well, no, that was Beeman and Ruiz. There's DeMarcus Rogers. You've got Greg Stoll leading blank. Is it Rizaki, Brandon Potts, and Pierre Panegua. Dennis Trump is 22nd. He's kind of on an island unto himself. David Hall, same thing. And the final runner, Ron Matthews, has retired to the pit lane. There's Ron. So back up to the front. It's still Karuna, Johnson, and Chilcutt. They are still right together.
I want to point out, Mark, I'm starting to get a little bit concerned with the P8 driver, Eric Halsbon. His last couple of laps have started to sort of be a little bit squirrely. He's falling victim to the faster cars behind. He was on his own island before, but those two cars, P9, P10, Ryan Fuqua, Turner Stroll, are starting to catch him. And if they start to battle, William Day is going to be right back into this mix again. And if I was Hall's band, I would be a little bit more nervous. More nervous means more mistakes. And I hope that Hall's band can hold on, because he's driven a great race, qualified inside the top 10, and hopefully he keeps it. But I'm a little bit worried as these tires start to go off a little bit.
Yeah, and this would be the battle to follow, 8, 9, and 10. William Day is ever so slightly dropping back. It was a second and a half. Now it's 1.7. And that's gonna be due to a couple of different factors. Hall's been slipping back, has actually helped Fuqua and Stroll separate themselves from William Day. That actually makes it harder for Day to catch them, at least in the short term. In the long term, if Fuqua and Stroll get held up by Halsband, well, that could make for a much different race for this transfer spot. We'll have to see. But right now, Halsband is helping the two cars behind him along, breaking the air, Andrew, letting them run a little bit quicker around these long, what amounts to full throttle periods in a sports car here at Daytona, in the NASCAR banking and on the straightaways and such.
I think you're definitely onto something there, and something I really didn't even consider. It might have been just a couple of scrappy laps for Hall's band that brought him back a little bit. We're very prone to mistakes as drivers, obviously, so maybe he had a couple of scrappy laps that brought him back. But if he's able to maintain his pace, then he'll do exactly what you had just said, which is pull those drivers along. And yeah, it looks like now I'm watching the gap between Day and the drivers ahead of him, and they're actually running a little bit faster as a trio right now.
Yeah,
So I think Halsman's got it together now, but we'll have to see if that continues.
Yeah, Eric Halsman has pulled those cars clear. Eric Halsman out of the Super Lap Times Tays team. He's from Cary, Illinois, so he doesn't have to spend the time in the hotel in Schaumburg. He's less than 20 miles from the arena. Like many of us, he started racing during COVID with doing Assetto Corsa Competizione. Joined iRacing and started driving more consistently and competitively in late 2024. So Eric Halsbad is a newcomer in that number 78, doing quite well for himself to be in such an elite competition as this one, Andrew.
It definitely is good to be a local boy. You say, oh, there's a competition that's like 20 minutes away. I'm in. No matter what my rating is. Let's see if I can luck my way into a finish to go meet some sim racing drivers. And yeah, looks like that's actually paid off for him right now, because he's running in the transfer spot. And like I said, it looks like he's got his stuff together. He just had a couple of scrappy laps there. Probably had to smack himself in the head a couple times and say, come on, you know your apexes, you know everything. Let's get back to reality here. And yeah, it looks like they've definitely started to pull away from Day a bit. But I mean, if you look at the last 27 minutes of this competition, Day really has not fallen too far back. He just hasn't had the opportunity to snatch on to the back of their draft to have the fight, really. So yeah, unfortunate for him, but we still have 8 minutes to go here.
Yeah, there he is. Lap 15 of 21 is in the books. Riding on board William Day as he tries to run down that transfer spot with Turner Stroll occupying position at 10. Do want to say hello to George Anzaldo, who's joined us from the tower in the chat. And so thank you so much, George. George is the organizer of the Sim Gaming Expo. And again, that's September 5th through 7th in Schaumburg, Illinois. The bug that you see in the very top, the slideshow, top right-hand corner, that's what all these drivers are racing for. The 2 seconds between Turner Stroll and William Day is the difference between being on that stage in just about a month's time, Andrew, and that's going to be a ton of fun. We're going to have the finale of this series. There's going to be an IndyCar series that I'm going to be a part of, and so if you haven't got your tickets, absolutely get yourself over to the Sim Gaming Expo website and get yourself a ticket. It's going to be a good time.
I think it's great to see the Sim Gaming Expo leader, George Gonzaldo, pop in to say hey to us, and hopefully he's enjoying the broadcast. We got a lot of coverage on this, right? Very, very exciting for all people involved. So very good to see you, George, and hope that you're enjoying everything. And the competition is definitely showing that we have a nice wide range of drivers here, drivers that are showing off and drivers that are really trying to show off what they got to make the top 10 here. So we got about just over 5 minutes left here, and let's see if anything exciting happens going forward.
Well, I'll tell you what we're seeing from Jordan Johnson. We're starting to see a bump draft. Did you notice that, Andrew? We cut back to the lead. Matt Caruna still has it. Jordan Johnson second. Alex Chilcutt has fallen back just a hair. But if you look at Matt Caruna, he's got a little bit of help through Daytona 3 and 4 there from Jordan Johnson as they try to edge away a little bit from Alex Chilcutt.
You know, I actually wasn't watching that too closely, but I do imagine that's definitely something going on. I think he's trying to stamp his authority and say, hey, you were the pole sitter, you were the fastest guy in practice, but I am right here. And if you don't look out, I am going to try and take this win from you on the last lap. So it could be a little bit of a strategy play. I don't really know why they need a strategy play, seeing as they're the top 3 right now, but there might be a little bit of mind games going on right now, and if that's the case, then Karuna's got to try and change his driving a little bit.
Racers.
Hey, Murph, this is Gary. I'm in the booth. Sorry to pop in. I need to make a producer call here. Can you join me in waiting for interview real quick?
I most certainly can, Gary.
All right. We're running on a, I don't know what happened, but we're running on the thumbnail for Phillip Island right now. So for whatever reason, the race 1 session is not running. So you guys are recording to something else.
How?
I'm not sure how to fix it right now. But you got to make sure for race 2, you're going into the right session. I might have messed up when I did something. I don't know. I'll have to figure it out. But
I was noticing when I was trying to share the race with a couple people, and I was trying to find it, and it said that it was people waiting in the session, but I was live, and I thought my YouTube was kind of screwy. So that's how it all started.
No,
yeah, something happened. I don't know why we're. Now I'm looking at the race 1, and it's set for your key, so
that's
we
okay.
could go live there.
So just kill this one and go live there. I have no idea how that happened. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened either.
No idea.
Well,
So
George
I
John does,
actually,
it seems. So,
so
I mean,
well, I'm gonna go live now for you. I hit the go live button on that stream now.
Okay.
So that stream is now live. So that should be loading, and then we'll just kill Phillip Island, and then what we want to tell people to do is go to the channel, and they should see the Sim Gaming Expo stream live now.
Okay.
There should be, if I go back to, hurry up, come on, load. If they go to our channel, they're going to see 2 simultaneous live streams, and one says IndyCar, and I don't know why that's loading. And the other one is the qualifying race. Just have them go to that.
sounds good.
Okay.
All right. I will kill the. You could kill the IndyCar one through YouTube when you're done.
Okay. I've got it on Sim Gaming Expo, and there we go.
No worries.
Right. Yep.
No
Mark,
worries.
I'll let you talk through it, and I'll just keep watching the race for anything.
Okay,
wild.
Gary, I've got the Sim Gaming Expo Challenge Series on now.
Okay.
That's in my description. So if you want to kill the if you want to kill the IndyCar one once I announce it, we'll be all good.
Okay. I will pop up at the channel, wait to hear that cue, and then I'll pop out. Okay.
Cool deal. Thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sim Gaming Expo Challenge Series Split number 1. We've been watching the leaders of the event. This is Matt Caruna, Jordan Johnson, and Alex Chilcutt. We had a bit of a technical issue, Andrew, with the channel. For some reason, this race went live under the wrong stream, and so we have switched to the correct one, the Sim Gaming Expo Challenge Series, presented by Simucube, the Daytona qualifying split number 1 is now on the correct stream. We are going to close down the IndyCar stream. If you go to the P1 Broadcasting channel, you will see the if you go to the P1 Broadcasting channel, you'll see 2 live streams. You're going to want the Sim Gaming Expo Challenge Series presented by Simucube. Here, the Daytona qualifier split number 1. And Andrew, It's been a really good race thus far. Matt Caruna, Jordan Johnson, Alex Chilcutt have broken away. We've been watching them. Alex Caruso leads a second group, and here that one is over Corbin Linaway and Michael Billion. James O'Brien is stuck to the back of that. There's kind of a four car